If you could picture a Bethesda game 10 years from now, what do you think it would be like? And I don't mean gameplay wise, we know that's going to be far behind other titles released 10 years earlier. I don't mean their world design either, we know that is just all going to be procedurally generated with very little handcrafted design, just like Starfield was. What I mean is how much are we going to have to pay to truly get the game that we have paid for? It is evident as time goes on that Bethesda grow hungry for one thing, and that being money. And sure, every company in the world has to make money to survive, but I think it's the way that they go about it that really can shape their reputation. For example, I remember where I could go to McDonald's and I didn't have to pay for my ketchup with my meal. Those were the days, free condiments with a side of fries. In 10 years time, maybe they'll make me pay for parking outside of their own establishment and charge me money for having ice in my drink. And Bethesda in 10 years time, maybe they will charge me a fee to gain certain access to areas in their base games. That's not mentioning the full price I would have paid or the Game Pass subscription I would already be paying to actually play their game. Of course, right now this is me being witty and jokey about the entire thing, but with the trajectory that Bethesda have seemingly been on, I really wouldn't put it past them to pull off some sort of disgusting money grabbing stunt such as this. Imagine in 2035 where Elder Scrolls 7 you have to pay $5 to enter a certain area, $5 to enter another area. I honestly feel like that's just the way that this game is going. Yes, it is absolutely absurd, but with their track record, it's not outside the realm of possibility. And I suppose that's what today's video is all about. I want to discuss their greed and what it is actually becoming. I want to talk about how they were previously before all of this absolute money grabbing nonsense was, and show where they could end up in a few years time if the company seemingly wants to carry on down this road. Once again, before we start, it turns out that a very small minority of my viewers are actually subscribed to the channel, so if you do enjoy today's videos or any of the previous ones I've uploaded, please be sure to consider subscribing. It really does help support the channel. Also be sure to hype the video as well if you enjoy it. So to kick the video off, I suppose I'll give some context with a trip down memory lane to what Bethesda used to be back when they were the beating heart of the RPG world and greed wasn't necessarily even a whisper in their vocabulary. Many people have a different definition of Bethesda's golden era. Many say it would be Morrowind, many say Oblivion, but the main thing I want to focus on during these sort of period of times where these games were coming out was the principles that Bethesda had actually adopted in terms of their company morals. So in 2002 when Morrowind did come out, it wasn't really just a game but was more of a revolution for its time. Every cliff and structure was handcrafted by a team of passionate workers, a stark contrast to Starfield's procedurally generated worlds. It was back when Todd Howard was then a rising star, and they wanted players to feel lost in the world that they built just for them. And you could truly see the passion within these worlds. Hundreds of hours it would take people to explore without a guide. Although Oblivion in 2006 then cemented their legacy, the first hint of this entire monetization saga was dropped within it, and I'm sure many of you know what I am referring to. So although Oblivion had a DLC called the Knights of the Nine for a reasonable price, it wasn't necessarily one that felt exploitive. When I look back from this point, I feel like this was the starting point for their sort of monetization ways of wanting to push stuff onto an audience in a way that was just crazy and absurd. Horse Armor DLC, yes. Horse Armor DLC was introduced in Oblivion all the way back in 2006. Now this entire thing was bad because it was a cosmetic item for which players were charged real money, setting a negative precedent for modern DLC practices. Well, it did offer a small increase in the horse's health, I suppose. It was functionally useless in terms of damage reduction and wasn't even integrated meaningfully into the game. It was more of a minimal effort, maximum profit kind of thing. Now, myself, I was 3 years old at the time, so maybe I didn't quite understand the monetization aspect of Bethesda's company, but for lots of players at the time, there was a lot of outrage. The DLC was one of the first instances of a major publisher charging for purely cosmetic content in a single-player game. It led to a lot of concerns about the future of monetization in gaming, and well, they were right to be concerned, let's just say that. A lot of players just felt they were being ripped off by paying for a minor cosmetic item that offered little to no meaningful benefit whatsoever. Like, it didn't come with some horse armor quest, nothing. It was just an item, you bought it, you put it on the horse. I think Bethesda's ambition to drain all of their consumers dry, however, wasn't shown entirely during this moment, rather a few years later. The introduction of paid mods in 2015 was the first big crack in their armor, a move that completely transformed their beloved modding community, once a shining beacon of fan creativity, into more of a testing ground for profit. It wasn't really just a misstep. I feel like this was a bold declaration that Bethesda was more interested in your wallet than your gameplay experience. So in 2015, with Bethesda in cahoots with Valve, rolled out paid mods on the Steam Workshop for Skyrim and Fallout 4. Now, the whole pitch was the fact that modders could sell their creations, keeping 25% of the profits, whilst Valve and Bethesda split the rest. Now, Gabe Newell, obviously Valve's head, claimed it would increase investment and modding quality. Bethesda marketed it as a win-win. Fans got premium content and the modders actually got paid, but their execution was a complete disaster. Within days, the platform flooded with overpriced mods. It was like $2 for a reskinned sword. It was like $5 for a texture pack as well, that would pretty much be recycled from free versions, sparking a lot of outrage. As well as that, fans noticed mods uploaded without creator consent and third-party assets sparked copyright lawsuits, with Take-Two Interactive filing DMCA against GTA mods that year. With all of the hate and rating drops, this very short-lived endeavor was cancelled. But that wasn't without a rebirth. An amazing rebirth of the Creator Club in 2017. What could this incredible innovative feature be? Where they're now rebranding paid mods as curated content. This time they controlled the pipeline, modders would pitch the ideas, underwent QA and got flat fees, while Bethesda sold the results on Bethesda.net for about $1 to $10 each. So you're telling me that we can get poor quality content very much often available for free from the community, but this time we'll be able to buy it from you to support the company. It is just crazy to me how the entire saga in 2015 happened, the amount of backlash and hate Bethesda got, and their whole reputation went down as a whole, for them to entirely rebrand the thing and repackage it to release it 2 years later. Like, is that not insane to some people? Is that like not totally taking advantage of the people in your community making mods for your games? Things only got worse in 2018 with the release of Fallout 76, and this was supposed to be Bethesda's bold leap into live service gaming, but it just turned out to be another masterclass in milking players dry, proving that their money-hungry streak wasn't just a fluke from the paid mods fiasco. Fallout 76 launched to a catastrophic amount of hate and lots of backlash from Bethesda fans. Now, with the release of this game, it came with Atomic Shop, a microtransaction store unveiled at launch. It wasn't your typical cosmetic DLC, it offered repair kits for $5, the scavenger correction bot for $15, and themed packs like the Wastelanders Survival Bundle for $20. The real kicker, however, came on October 2019, and this was the worst of them all: the Fallout First subscription, a $12.99 per month fee, promising private servers for up to 8 players, unlimited scrap storage, and exclusive survival tents. It was more of a lifeline in a game where public servers were just completely chaotic, with griefers and queue times hitting 20 minutes. For $156 a year on top of the base price, players got a premium experience, but this is just totally unethical in my opinion. Listen, the servers on this game were completely cooked from day one, and instead of making an effort to really double down and fix these servers, they were like, okay, well, if you just buy our subscription, you can have a private servers for up to 8 players and you'll have no issue whatsoever. Now, you might be thinking that that's all. Bethesda haven't done anything since this entire Fallout 76 saga, right? Well, that's not necessarily true. Did you know about a little trick they pulled with everyone's favorite game, Starfield? Well, if you didn't, I'll let you know now. We all know Starfield debuted with a very lukewarm reaction, to say the least. On the outside, it was met with praise for its 1,000 planets, but when you go and actually visit them, they're just filled with nothing but procedurally generated emptiness. Even 100,000 lines of dialogue just couldn't hide the lack of handcrafted depth in this game. So do you want to know what Bethesda thought would be a fantastic idea to kind of make up for the loss that you guys suffered when you played this game? The loss of not having compelling stories, of having these good characters, and an immersive experience. If you didn't enjoy this game, it was your fault. And do you want to know why it was your fault? Because you didn't go ahead and purchase extra quests which are offered with the game that you've already paid for. Now, this isn't like DLC quests either, where it's an entire expansion of new planets, new missions, etc. It's just one single quest, and they're charging you money to go ahead and buy it. All of this entire saga was looked down upon for many key criticisms. Obviously, the fact that it was very overpriced content, and especially for the underwhelming quality that came with these quests. And it wasn't like these were like way above the original Starfield story that we got. The lack of depth was very true and very clear within these storylines. I was actually taking a look on Reddit to see sort of what the general perception regarding this entire saga was, and as you can imagine, everyone was very frustrated, especially when the time this was announced. Personally, I think buying individual missions for a single player RPG is a joke, but I'm aware of how the industry has moved. They are literally selling one single bad armor in Skyrim for €5. I think there will never be a paid mod that was reasonably priced. They're chopping up what could have been a small but feature-complete DLC focused around the Trackers Alliance into separate pay-as-you-go quests that each cost as much as you'd expect to pay for a DLC of that size. Honestly, this makes me wonder if some of the worst elements of Starfield were designed specifically to allow for this sort of piece-by-piece content sales. Build a blank collection of POIs for planets, and then drip sell new ones to players one by one over time. To be totally honest, this isn't acceptable, like, whatsoever. Obviously, many people have called them out on it, so I thought it'd be very important just to make an individual video covering each of these topics of Bethesda's pure greed, if we're being honest. It's just completely embarrassing, and in all honesty, really does take advantage of the people who enjoy your games. Like, if you think this is bad, what we've previously seen, think about when one of the most anticipated games of all time comes out, and this company is the one publishing it. Think of some of the ideas that are probably going through their head right now of what they could push on to their dedicated fans, or even some of the methods they could try to adopt to bring some of the casual fans to spend more money in on them. Fingers crossed Bethesda do look to maybe not completely flip off every single one of their fans. It's funny enough, I don't see that happening. I think they're going to double down on this. They're going to get even worse, but there is literally nothing to say at the end of this video. There's no happy ending. There's no, like, let's just hope Bethesda learn. They're not going to learn. It's never going to be a case of them learning, because in all honesty, they make too much money, so why would they change, ripping us off? Thanks for tuning into the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment as well about your thoughts, and while you're at it, thumbs up and check out some of my other videos that you may enjoy. Have a great rest of your day as well.